Today we're going to process this image of the Jellyfish Nebula. It's a 20-hour integration taken using an Optolong L Ultimate filter. So that's hydrogen alpha and oxygen 3, all from my city centre back garden. I wanted to collect more data and using different filters and things, but had some technical issues with my camera, so I had to cap it at just 20 hours with the one filter. So let's see if we can process this into something that looks nice, and maybe deal with this halo as well. Alright, so to start with, I'm going to make a clone of that in case we need to go back to the beginning. My image is oversampled, so I'm going to use integer resample here to bin ×2. And this will give me a signal to noise ratio boost. Next, I need to run image solver, and this is going to give PixInsight some more information about the image that will be useful a little bit later. Now I want to sort out the gradient in the background. Previously I've used SFC and MGC, which aren't really optimal for dual band data like this. So what I'm going to try is this SETI Astro automatic DBE, dynamic background extraction. And I'm not an expert in this, but I'm just going to use all the defaults and see how it comes out. Alright, we can see the background that it took out. Well, it's quite a complex set of gradients. Let's see what the image looks like. Hey, I think that looks pretty good actually to my eye. The background looks a lot smoother and more uniform than it was before. So I'm going to go with that. And let's make a clone of that in case we need to go back. And then we'll continue with this image. Next, we're going to run Blur Exterminator. This is a good method of deconvolution. Just going to counteract the blurring effects of the atmosphere somewhat and sharpen the image up. Now, I like to run PSF image on this first so that I can get the PSF value. That's kind of like how blurred things are. Here we go, and we want to look at the full width half maximum x and y values. That's 1.77, 1.67. We want to work out what's between those two numbers. That's going to be what, 1.72. Need to remember that. Then we go to Blur Exterminator. We're not going to use automatic PSF. We're going to use 1.72, and let's keep everything else just to defaults, and then run that. And that's done. It's a subtle effect, but it has sharpened things up a little bit. I'm going to rename this Alt Blur X. Let's make a clone of that. And then continue. Next, we're going to stretch. I sometimes do SPCC, which sorts out colours. But because this is dual narrowband data anyway, I'm just going to try not doing it this time. Let's just skip that, see what happens. We're going to stretch the data though. Normally I would use GHS, but because I used the SETI Astro functions before, let's just continue with that and use the SETI Astro one instead, which I believe is a statistical stretch. I'm just going to keep everything. Oh, actually, we can preview it. Doesn't look bad. Let's go with that. And there, very quick and easy stretch. Let's call that stretched. Obviously in these processing videos I do things very quickly. You can take your time and a bit more care over them. Next we are going to separate out the star field from the background, because we don't want to do our edits to the nebulosity in the background and have that also apply to the stars, because they're quite different. So we're going to make a clone of that, and I like to use StarNet. We've stretched our data so it's not linear, and we're just going to remove the stars like this. And then I use something called screen stars, which I like a lot. We're doing star removal. The star review is called Alt Stretched. You can see it there and at the top. And the star less view is called Alt Stretched Clone 1. going to click on the tick, and that's going to produce our star field. We don't need that one, let's move that out of the way. And now I like to give my stars a little bit of a saturation boost, because I think they look a little bit weak in colour as they come out, so move that up. And normally I'm using accurate RGB stars, but I didn't manage to collect the data this time, so I'm having to just kind of make do with my dual narrowband stars, so the colours aren't going to be accurate anyway. There's quite a bit of green in there. Let's take all the green out. No green stars, thank you. And then we're going to store this away for later. Great, now we've got our stretched view here. And what I think we should do is just give it a little curves boost. Just to increase the contrast a bit. Darker background, brighter nebulosity. Before, after, before, after. A lot better. Let's click on the square to apply that. And close, close. And here's the image that's had that applied to it. It's pretty noisy. The new version of Noise Exterminator, the new AI model, we can run at pretty much any time in our processing. So let's run it. Let's do some fairly high noise reduction now. 5 iterations. I always put that up because I've got a fast computer and it doesn't matter to me if it takes a while. So let's apply that. Alright, there we go. It's removed quite a lot of the noise, but we've still retained some of the sharpness. That's good. Let's call that noise X and make a clone. Okie dokie. Now, next, we're going to use Pallet Picker. Well, actually, we're going to do something slightly different. Let me explain why. So if we were to use Perfect Pallet Picker to make our nice colourful image, our HA03 is what we've just been working on, Alt Noise X. And it's not linear, we've stretched it. So if we create our palettes here, I don't know how well you can see, but let's just create the 4-ax one. There's not, it looks quite nice I think, but there's not loads of difference in the colours. It's quite subtle, which you might like, but I generally prefer to have a bit more difference in the colours if I can. So in order to do that, we're actually going to do another step first. What we're going to do is find dB extract, and my camera sensor is a 571. The HA03 is the one we're just working on, Alt Noise X. And what this is going to do is create our channels for hydrogen alpha and oxygen 3. So here's our hydrogen alpha and here's our oxygen 3. Now can you see how much stronger the hydrogen alpha is compared to the oxygen 3? This is not unusual or unexpected. There's a lot more hydrogen in most nebulae than there is oxygen 3, but the fact that there's this big discrepancy is why we didn't have that much difference in the colours when we used a palette picker, because almost all the data is coming from this and there's not much from the oxygen 3. So what can we do about that? Well, let's give the oxygen 3 a bit of a curves boost. Just so that we can bring that nebulosity out a little bit more. There we go. And these are, let's run some noise reduction on these as well. Just to smooth them out a little bit. It's the O3 and to the hydrogen alpha. I might be applying too much noise reduction, but never mind. You put in however much you think. You don't want it to be plasticky smooth, but they are quite noisy because it's only 20 hours from my Portal 8. Right, next we want to combine these images. So we're going to go to Perfect Palette Picker. Our hydrogen alpha is hydrogen alpha there, and our oxygen 3 is that one. It's not linear. Let's create our palettes. And can you see they're a lot more colourful than when we did it before, because we've boosted our oxygen 3. And I like the 4-ax. So let's go with that one. And then we can minimize these. Because this is what we're going to be working on. Let's make a clone of it and put that out of the way. Right, what should we do next? Do we have a look at a slight curves adjustment? Because I think we could make the background a bit darker. Boost the actual nebula. Very good. And then we can use what's it called? Selective color correction. And this is where we can really play about with our colors and get them looking how we want. So the way this works is you select what channel you want here, and it will create a mask for it, and then you can adjust everything and preview it. So if I want to boost the cyan, for example, I might want to give it a little boost there, maybe bring the yellow down a bit, perhaps take a bit of the green out to really help it change it to a different shade of blue there. Maybe a bit more luminance to make it pop. Maybe boost the saturation a bit as well. But you play about with these, and you'll see in real time what it looks like. When you're happy with that change, and this is just this one particular mask at the moment, remember, when you're happy with that, you click Apply. And then you can select the next. So in this example, I think I'm going to go red. I want it to be a bit more fiery, so I'm going to boost the red up there. I like my fiery reds. And let's boost the luminance and the saturation a bit. But like I always say, you play about with it, you get it however you like. Before, after, before, after. Yeah, okay. Let's click Apply on that. And then close this. This is where we are so far. So let's change that to colour, because we've just played about with the colour, haven't we? And it's probably time now to address the elephant in the room, which is the giant halo here. That halo is a bit of a pain. So to fix that, we've got some different methods. I am going to use Photoshop, actually. I don't often use Photoshop for astro images, but it is useful for this. So what I'm going to do is save this as a TIFF file. And it needs to be 16-bit. And then I'm going to load that up in Photoshop. Right, here we are. And I'm going to use this little lasso here, and I'm going to draw a box around the nasty old halo. And then I'm going to use generative fill and generate, and let AI work out how best to remove that halo. Now it might it's not great. I think we might need to do a few tries at this. So I'm going to right click on background and flatten image, and then draw around it again. And basically keep going until we get something that we like. Alright, this looks a bit more promising. Just zipping through the options there. Alright, that's probably the best one that we've got from there. Now what you could also do is a bit of more old-fashioned clone stamping to kind of make sure there's no oddities in there. for now, let's just go with that and save this, and then put it back into PixInsight. Now we've taken care of that halo. If I was spending more time on it, I would clean up this as well. But this is just a quick tutorial for you. All right, let's put that out of the way, and we're going to call this Jellyfish halo removed. Clone it in case we need to go back. Right then, what should we do next? Lots of different things we could do. Shall we sharpen a little bit? Let's create a mask actually in Sharpen. So what I want to do is some unsharp mask, which provides a lot of sharpening to the image, but I only want to sharpen the nebulosity. I don't want to sharpen the background. So to do that, I'm going to use range selection to create a mask. And I just want the black is going to be what I want to sharpen, so that's going to be the nebulosity there. So let's make it fairly smooth. And that looks pretty good to me. So I'm going to click the square to create that mask. And then to apply the mask, drag and drop it over there. Now this looks horrendous, but that's just because it's showing where the mask is applied. We've got our mask options up here. So the one with the little magnifying glass, click that, and that will take it away. But we know that the mask is applied because this here has got a brown background. So just to demonstrate, oh, I got it the wrong way around. Ha! I selected the background rather than the supernova remnant itself. But that's okay. We can fix that. Oh, let me just show you. I didn't explain what I was doing then. So I was just adjusting the curves here, and my hope was that it would demonstrate that we're only brightening what we want to via the mask, which is the supernova remnant. But actually what we're doing is we're brightening the background rather than the supernova remnant. But we can easily fix this by clicking on this button, which will invert the mask. Great. So now this will only apply to the supernova remnant, but we're not actually doing curves here. That was just to show you what it was doing. Instead, we want unsharp mask, and this is only now going to sharpen the jellyfish itself, not the background. So let's just zoom in. We don't. This is nothing. Amount 0.1. Oh, amount 1. We want to take it down where it's sharp, but not so sharp that we start to see artifacts. By artifacts, I mean kind of blockiness, and it can be quite obvious when something's been over sharpened. And I am guilty of doing this, to be honest, because I like my images to be as sharp as they can be. Let's do our before and after. So before, after, before, after. YouTube is probably compressing that, so if you're thinking that doesn't look at all different, it does look very different on my screen. Right, I'm going to apply that, and we have sharpened our jellyfish. Perhaps too much, but let's just roll with it. Alright, next let's remove that mask. I would keep it in case you need it later. Maybe another small round of noise reduction. Just a little bit. And then there's lots more you could do to play about the colours and bring in the curves on the jellyfish itself, but I'm aware that I've been talking at you for about 20 minutes already, so let's just skip ahead and let's just whack the stars back in. So screen stars. So we're doing star replacement now. Our starless view is jellyfish halo removed, and our stars are the stars that we had earlier. Let's tick on that. We've got our stars back. This is looking pretty good, I think. let's integer resample because we down sampled at the beginning. What's it called? It's called starry. So let's upsample to get that resolution back. And I reckon for now I will call that done. Thank you very much. I hope that was useful.